Welcome back to the second step in your strategic career planning. I'm Roberta Sunino, glad to be back with you. In Unit 2, we will talk about how to analyze your strengths. So just to reorient you in the process, we completed the first step in Unit 1, identifying your strengths by developing par stories, and then in Assignment 1, mining them for their vein of gold. You identified your strengths within the story independently and had others review them, filling your worksheet with the strengths that you see and the strengths that others see. We hope you learned or confirmed information about your strengths and had some fun doing it. Now in Unit 2, you will continue to explore, expand, and diverge in order to identify all of the skills, knowledge, and attributes that make up your transferable strengths, in other words, your core competencies. Please have your Key Strengths worksheet handy, as well as your completed PAR Stories of Success worksheet. Here is the Key Strengths worksheet from your workbook. To fill it out, go to your PAR Stories of Success worksheet where you mind your stories for strengths. Those strengths representing knowledge, skills, and attributes that are now cut and pasted into these columns as you see here with the strengths from my PAR in Module 1. You then put an X or a check mark in the column with the PAR story during which the skill, knowledge, or attribute was used. If you find the same one utilized in a different story, just add a check mark or an X for the same KSA under that story number. Typically, people end up with anywhere from 10 to 30 knowledge, skills, and attributes that are strengths. This example just shows a small sample. So let's look at the example of my strengths. When I analyzed further, looking at all my PAR stories, my transferable strengths began to emerge. For example, with courage appearing in many of my stories, but the importance of documenting appearing less often. Now, reflect on your analysis of your own strengths. Do you see strengths that you use across several of your stories of success? These are your transferable strengths or core competencies. They are useful in many types of jobs, whether in the lab, treating patients, or teaching students or residents, or in managing a large program, department, or school. Now, let's take my example again and move to the right-hand side of the template for the second analysis to rank in 3 ways. First, what I use the most. Second, what I enjoy doing the most. Third, what I'd like to do more of or learn more about or become more expert in. Notice that I left the final column, theme or category, blank because this will be our work in Unit 3. I now know that courage is important, as I have been Faculty Affairs Dean in 3 schools, which indeed took a lot of courage, relocating and leaving my comfort zone of the operating room for the lion's den of faculty affairs. In my ranking, I would put photography as one of the KSAs I enjoy most, so I intentionally sought opportunities to combine photography with my professional life. For example, I provided the photographs for a book on chief residents with humanistic traits for the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education. After doing this, you will begin the second part of your analysis by ranking those strengths. Are the strengths you use most the same as the ones you enjoy using most? Are they aligned, or is there a disconnect? And which strengths do you want to use more in the future to develop future expertise in? Use this important information as you consider your career strategically. We generally say that at least 50% of your job needs to be using the strengths that you enjoy using. If this is the case, then you can deal with the other 50% that might use strengths that you don't enjoy using. For me, I loved clinical work, and I was very happy with clinical service at 50%, and the rest composed of teaching, mentoring, and research. At that level, I could handle the clinical bureaucracy and other tasks that were absolutely necessary, but that I did not like doing. When clinical work started taking up 120% of my time, I realized that it was time for a change, so I reinvented my career focusing on mentoring, coaching, and advancing faculty careers. And now we are at assignment number 2. Your next assignment is to take your 3 to 5 stories and the strengths that you mind and organize and analyze them just as we have done using the Key Strengths worksheet. You will take the strengths identified in your PAR stories and paste them into the knowledge, skills, and attributes column on the Key Strengths worksheet. Note their frequency if they are in multiple stories. Reflect on the strengths and note the ones that are utilized in multiple stories, that is, your transferable strengths. Next, rank those strengths. Reflect again. Are the strengths you use the most and the ones you enjoy using the most aligned? The themes column on the worksheet, the final column, will be blank. We will tackle that in Unit 3. We estimate you will need 1 to 1.5 hours to do this. You can cut and paste from your first worksheet into the table in the second worksheet. I promise you that the time will be worth it. You and your career are well worth this investment.